Hello YouTube. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how I go about making glassy one-shots in Serum 2. So with no further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so here I have an initialized patch of Serum 2. And the first thing we're going to do is go into the Wavetable editor and just clear away all of these harmonics. And then I like to just add in some overtones. And I'm just kind of going by feel here of what I think has somewhat of a glassy quality to it. And then what I'll do is I'll go down to this little remove tab and I'll remove all except selected, and then I'll just copy it over. Then I'll perhaps make some differences. Then I'll duplicate it again, and this time maybe I'll just clear away all the harmonics, just so I have a clean slate to work with. Sounds pretty glassy. I'm going to go next. Nice. You can make as many of these as you like. For the sake of this example, I'm just going to go with a couple more. And I find that the sound definitely gets less glassy when you stack harmonics next to each other. So I always like to leave little gaps between. And I'll do one more just for good measure. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll go into the All tab and I'll normalize all of these waveforms. I'm just going to open up the morph options here and go morph spectral. So now it has created wavetables up to a total of 256 to smoothly interpolate between all of these different shapes that we've drawn. Now we'll just attach a modulator onto the wavetable position, and then let's just choose a sample and hold and turn the smoothing all the way up. That way it's going to smoothly move through the wavetable position at random values. And then if I set this to an 1/8, then it will speed up the modulation nicely. Maybe let's just extend this MIDI for a moment. From here, now that we have a nice glassy moving texture, we can hone in on which aspects of it we want. So I could just shrink down the range and then move through. Right, so this position here has a nice glassy tone to it. And I'll just set this random LFO to retrig. So now that we've got this, I'm just going to quickly go to our post effects, just because I want to add on some reverb from the get-go, because it is an integral part of this sound. And I'll expand the decay time and I'll turn up the mix even higher. And I'll just get a bit of a slower attack on this initial sound here. And some more release as well. From here, we can perhaps drop the octave if we want a nice deep glassy tone, or leave it as it is and just restrict the amount of frequencies that we're allowing to pass through with a band pass. Bring up the resonance. And then let's have the cutoff move with our random movement. And then perhaps we could use the band 12 for a wider range. And then adding unison voices is optional as well. At the moment, we've got this very pure tone that's going into our reverb, which makes it a really clear and quite pronounced glassy sound, which is very nice. But we can add a little bit of grit to this by just adding a little bit of distortion. I'm going to go with a sine fold and literally just doing a few percent. And it just adds a little bit of character to the sound. And then let's attempt a little bit of FM just from a sine wave and see if we can't get a few more harmonics into this thing. Going to go phase distortion from B. So we've got the old Serum FM. Turn the level of oscillator B down. And then bring up the phase distortion. And then bring this up 7 semitones, so we've got a harmonic. To make this more interesting, I'm going to set up a chaos oscillator here, and I'm going to set the x-axis to have the FM move. And then I'm going to just slow the rate down to a half bar. And that's sounding pretty spicy already. So I'm going to just move on to the effects now and maybe add a little bit of delay to this. Go with a classic ping pong dotted and select a good range and bring up the mix and feedback a bit. Sounding nice. And maybe let's get a phaser on here and turn the poles all the way up so we've got lots of notches in the spectrum. And then we can make it a static phaser by turning the rates and the depths down. And then we get in this nice ring from the phaser. And if I bring the feedback really high, then again, we get in this really lovely glassy quality on it. Very resonant sound, very pleasing to listen to. And then for more movement, let's just go with a flanger and set a BPM synced rate at maybe half bar dotted. And then I'll bring the depth in a bit. And then mix that out. And I'll attempt mixing out the phaser as well. Nice. Really liking that. And yeah, this could be a done sound right here. That's the thing. They don't have to be particularly complicated because most of the character is coming from our main oscillator setup. Then essentially the effects are just a way to embellish whatever it is that you already have in that oscillator phase. So maybe I could add some hyperdimension on for more widening. And maybe a smidge of distortion onto the very end on something like soft clip. And I'm just going to mix that out as well. And yeah, maybe a bit of reverb on this. Just for some added character. And then I'll just squash the dynamics a bit with a compressor, bring up the gain here. And then to top this sound off, I'm just going to go into the matrix and I'm going to go LFO 5. I'm going to attach that to the global main tuning. And this can be a small LFO that is on one semitone. That'll be going in both directions. And then if I set this from BPM to Hertz, I can set an unsynced rate for some nice organic results. And because this sound has modulators that are randomized, it means that every time we play the sound, it's going to be slightly different. So from this, you can already get countless nice glassy one-shots, and you can just start to build up a nice collection of these sounds. I'll show you a couple of sounds that I've made using this technique. I'll just play you these sounds that I made in an earlier session. And there you have it. That is how I go about making these kinds of glassy textures. These kinds of sounds are very useful because they are mostly just atmosphere based and can sit right behind the rest of your key lead elements of a track and just provide that extra atmosphere and support that your track needs. Also, they are exceptionally satisfying to listen to as well. With all that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you want to support the channel, you know how to do that. And I'll see you on the next video.